Hello, welcome to our special roundtable discussion on the business environment of Chongqing. I'm your host, James Alexander.
I'm your host, Sasha from iChongqing. Today we invited representatives and experts from foreign enterprises to discuss the business environment of Chongqing. With us today are Professor Xiao, Raphael, and James.
As the National Two sessions are underway in Beijing, deliberations are taking place to confirm goals for the 14th Five-Year Plan for national economic and social development and the long-range objectives.
Following successful conclusion of the 13th Five-Year Plan, proposals will outline an ambitious plan which aims to build a more innovative and green China with higher level of opening up and higher quality growth, according to the full text in the drafts. In a speech to party officials, President Xi Jinping stated that it is entirely possible for China to be the standards of the high-income countries by the end of the 14th Five-Year Plan, and double the total economic volume or per capita.
So, over the next 5 years, how is China going to achieve its commitments to a new development pattern? And what changes will this bring to the business environment in Chongqing for foreign enterprises?
So, we will start with the introduction for each guest. Professor Xiao, can you tell us about your position and your opinions on Chongqing's development in the 14th Five-Year Plan?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Chongqing. Now I'm working as a Vice Dean in the School of Economics in Southwest University of Political Science and Law. I thank you for this question. I think actually the development in China is very good and we have a very bright future. I believe that. And in my opinion, in the 5 years, and there will be a lot of opportunities in Chongqing, especially in the Chengdu-Chongqing circle. And in my opinion, because I work in the university, so my major was finance. So in my opinion, I think in the future, the most important thing in China, or especially in Chongqing, is we need more talented people. Actually, in Chongqing, we have running a Chongqing talent programs, attract very talented students, talent expertise, and some professors. I think that will be very useful and bring a lot of benefit for the foreign companies in Chongqing, as well as the local companies. I think that's a very important thing, and that's what we need to do, and exactly good things for us. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that human resources and the talents is the most important sector in the city's future development.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, James, can you introduce your company and your current challenges that you face right now?
Okay, thank you so much for having me here today. Again, my name is James Weems. I work for Stone Tan Finance, and what we are is a leasing company that focuses on manufacturing companies, especially small and medium-sized manufacturing companies, not only in Southwest China here in Chongqing, but also throughout China. In fact, our headquarters is here in Chongqing, but we have sales reps and offices in Chengdu, Shanghai, Anhui, in different areas in China. And I would say one of our biggest challenges right now is, even though, for example, we're based here in Chongqing, and we might focus on the automotive and electronics industries here in Chongqing, but if we go to Chengdu, we find the industry there is so different. So you just can't do a one size fits all focus when you're looking at different cities here. And so when you go to Chengdu, you find out that they're much bigger into light industries and whatnot. And so I think it's important. That's our challenge, is just to understand the different little markets, or not to understand the different markets throughout China.
And also, we have another distinguished guest called Raphael Zumsteg. We understand that you are with Chongqing Debadin and Li. So could you tell us more about yourself for us?
Yes, of course. First of all, thank you very much for having me, Sasha and James. So it's a great pleasure to be here. So I'm working as the office manager of the Bedin and Lee LLP. We are a Hong Kong-based law firm And so what we do is we provide legal and commercial services in different industry sectors, such as, for instance, automotive, heavy industry, but also fashion, luxury products, and so on. So since 4 years, we obtained approval from Chongqing's Bureau of Justice to set up our representative office here in Chongqing, in the heart of Chongqing, actually, in Yuzhong district. And to my knowledge, we are so far still the only foreign law firm with a representative office in Chongqing. Since 2 years, we have started to closely collaborate with our Italian partner, which is the Bedin and Lee Studio Legale, which has its office in Milan, Italy. And so here in Chongqing, we collaborate closely with chambers of commerce, as well as with the local consulate generals, and try to provide any type of legal solution for foreign invested companies. That can be from market entry until intellectual property issues, so on and so forth.
According to the consultations and evaluations released by the World Bank, the 5 indicators of setting up business, applying for construction permits, registering property, executing contracts, and bankruptcy handling in Chongqing have all exceeded the world average.
In particular, the indicators for property registration, contract execution, and bankruptcy handling have reached the level of the developed economies. So our topics will relate to how do you guys position the business environment of Chongqing as a opening up highland in southwest China. So can we start with Professor Xiao?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting question about the business environment in Chongqing. Actually, this is one very, very important topic across the whole China. And Chongqing, in my opinion, has makes a lot of effort to improve it. Actually, we try, in my opinion, our government and try to understand some regulation or requirement by the World Bank and a lot of things from them. And actually, I want to give 2 examples. I think the business environment in Chongqing has improved because, for example, the cost for the land use and the electric utilities are all reduced. And another example I think is maybe interesting is the tax system in Chongqing has been improved because the tax bureau has make cooperate with the People's Bank of China in Chongqing, and they developed one integration system to try to make this job easier because in the past you need to take 10 days to do the business declaration of your tax, but now you just need 4 to 5 days to finish all the forms and finish all the things you need to do. So I think that saves a lot of time and the cost for the company. And also we have some subsidies and the tax policies that is very welcome to the foreign companies and also as well as local companies. So all these things will contribute to the improvement of Chongqing's business environment. I think that's my opinion. Thank you.
So how about Raffle? Do you feel any convenience by doing business in Chongqing?
I mean, from a very general point of view, geographically speaking, let's say, I find it always fascinating. Chongqing has not as good conditions as, let's say, coastal cities. Mm-hmm. Chongqing is 1,000 kilometers away from the sea. Mm-hmm. It has valleys, it has mountains, mm-hmm. and somehow local plus national government succeeded in adopting clever policies to actually make Chongqing become this inland hub for opening up. So let's just zoom a bit back in history, and one of these important decisions, I think, was 1997 when Chongqing became a municipality. Then only a couple of years later came this decision to further development in the west. It's also known as Go West strategy, very important for the whole southwestern region, of course, as well. In 2013, Xi Jinping brought the Belt and Road Initiative on the table, which we are now still implementing. And last but not least, the Chongqing Economic Circle starting last year. And all these policies plus the relevant funding has made that Chongqing could afford to build its infrastructure, dig tunnels, build bridges, keep it doing until now. And we see that Chongqing has really become one of the local powerhouses of the Southwest. Yeah.
That sounds really great to hear that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and our next question, which I would like to direct towards James and Professor Xiao. I would like to ask, do you have any suggestions on how economic and urban development in Chongqing can make the business environment more attractive to foreign enterprise?
I have two answers to this question. I think get Tesla to come to Chongqing and build a new factory. We all know that they already have a factory in Shanghai, but they're growing very big, they're growing very fast right now, and they might have to build another factory. And I know they've already had discussions with Chongqing government, but if they could do that, they would actually bring a lot of their foreign supply channels here to Chongqing. So if you wanted to do something very fast, that's probably the most immediate answer to that. But if you were looking, and I'm talking about the manufacturing sector, there's other ways to do that. You know, there are a lot of foreign enterprises that set up factories on the seacoast about 20 years ago, maybe 15, 25 years ago, maybe in Suzhou or in Guangdong. And you know, now that they've been in China for a long time, there's a lot of ways that they might actually want to move their factory to Chongqing where it makes more sense. You know, Chongqing has maybe lower energy costs than factories in Suzhou or Guangdong, or they're more closer to certain suppliers or even to their customers. So this is something where if they wanted to gradually get more foreign enterprises here, they could look at those types of companies with factories on the coastal areas.
Okay, I see. So if you can invite in some of the really big global players that will bring their portfolio and also their supply channels, and that can help drive economic development here in Chongqing and make it more attractive. Mm-hmm. Great. And Professor Xiao, what's your take on this?
Thank you for this question. I think that in order to attract more foreign companies to move to Chongqing, I think there are at least two things we need to do. The first thing is I think that in Chongqing we have very strong strengths in the industries, and we have a lot of firms like the computer firms and the auto firms. But I think the development process for our financial liberation is a little bit slow. I think if attract more companies to move to Chongqing, we need to develop them, spend more time and more energy, and of course the capital to develop the financial market in Chongqing. And so that is very important things. And the second thing I think is we need to spend more capitals to develop the international communities, because if we want them move here, then they might face many problems because their sons, their daughters need to go international schools, and they also need some medical service with the doctors who know English and who can communicate with them in English. So all these things are very important for them to not only come here, but most important thing is they will like to stay here, work with here, and develop them with Chongqing in the future. So I think these two things are very important. Thank you.
China is to encourage more foreign investments in the central and western regions over the next 5 years, where the Chengdu-Chongqing Economic Circle will provide a new growth engine in southwest China.
The Chengdu-Chongqing Economic Circle was the first proposed on January last year as a part of the national strategy to achieve high-quality development, as well as an open inland city in western China. So what should foreign invested enterprises to do to take full advantage of the 14th five-year plan and the Chengdu Economic Circle? That will be our next question. We'll start with Raphael.
Okay, yes, please, thanks. So regarding the 14th five-year plan, I think it's important to know that it is a very general policy blueprint. So it means it is much more general than even a law, and even more general than a regulation, implementation regulation. So for a foreign invested enterprise, there is very little guidance in it because it is so very general. But what we can at least see in it, because it's a top strategy paper, is we can see that there are some trends that China would like to implement in the next 5 years. And I think some of the very interesting trends, just to mention maybe 3, would be, one is that China wants to build a green economy. So China wants to have a more diverse energy mix. China wants to peak its carbon emissions by 2030 and be completely carbon neutral by 2060. So this makes it all very interesting for clean tech companies, which foreign invested companies are in some sectors very strong, especially European companies, to actually come to China and help progressing that field. Then from a legal point of view, it's also stated in the 5-year plan that China wants to strengthen its intellectual property right protection and at the same time make infringement, sanction it more heavily. So this makes it once again attractive for invested companies to come here with their brands. They know they will be safe. And one maybe last point is that China is also looking at opening its services sector, which has been relatively restricted with regards to other sectors. I think those are 3 ways to look out for. Yeah.
Okay, so just right now, James has mentioned that there are different industries between Chengdu and Chongqing, and you just find out some differences between these twin cities. But as a Chengdu Chongqing Economic Circle is a new initiative for 1 year for their first anniversary. So what's your as a foreign invested enterprises? What's your views on this initiative, and how will you grasp this opportunity to develop your company here?
Great. I think as someone who works, our headquarters is here in Chongqing, but we have to go to Chengdu. We have sales reps in Chengdu. This whole Chengdu Chongqing economic circle is very interesting because you have to start thinking there's actually a lot of cities between here and Chengdu. You have cities like Suining, Zigong, Nanchong. North of Chongqing you have Guang'an. These are all different unique cities with their own strengths and whatnot. Now, why would a company want to set up a factory in Suining or Rongchang in Chongqing? It's because they might have customers in Chongqing, but they also have in Chengdu. So let's take an example. In the automotive industry, you have Chang'an and Ford here in Chongqing, but you have VW and Geely out in Chengdu. So if your factory is right in the middle, it would make sense in that case for a logistics supply to be able to sell your auto parts to both. And the same thing applies to the electronics industry. Foxconn is here in Chongqing. It's also there in Chengdu. I believe here in Chongqing they make HP notebooks, and in Chengdu they make iPads for Apple. But there are also other cities too that maybe are maybe you never thought about it. You have cities that you could sell packaging or bottles to the one of the biggest industries in Southwest China is the baijiu industry. A lot of people don't understand this, but the number 1 valued company in China is Maotai. It's just across the border in Guizhou, but you have a huge baijiu industry in Luzhou and Yibin, and they have a huge supply chain that we actually really like to focus on. And so if you're that's something that I think the Chengdu Chongqing corridor you could potentially capitalize on something like that.
Thank you so much. And in the future, Chongqing will learn from other advanced experience with the target of promoting its policies and enhance the effect of policy implementation.
Many thanks to our distinguished guests for sharing their insights. We look forward to seeing how Chongqing will play a key role in the 14th Five-Year Plan and lead development in the Southwest region.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for joining us, and see you again next time.